First of all, warm welcome to everyone to our webinar sessions. Let's talk about the agenda for today's discussion. Today, we're going to talk about what is Azure and Azure Platform, like what are the different components, what are the different services are available in Azure. And then we'll talk about what is Power BI, what are the different components of Power BI, and how do we use Azure in ML, machine learning technology, okay, machine learning sector. Next, we'll move on to the our subjects. Okay, first of all, let's talk about what is Azure. Okay, what is Azure? So before going to Azure, I will give you some quick overview about cloud computing. Okay, in olden days, maybe almost 10-15 years before, we used to have a dedicated server to we can host our database into the server, or we can host our application to the server, right? So in those days, we need to maintain the server. So we have to have a dedicated server rooms and lot of rack or disk, and we have a network engineer, we have a server maintenance engineer, everything should be there for the maintenance purpose, right? So for that, we need to have a dedicated server. Okay. For that, if you want to increase the server configurations, it's very difficult. Okay. So we need to bring down the server, bring down all our applications, and then add up the RAM or hard disk or whatever it is, storage devices, right? And then again, we need to restart or up and running all the application services. So for that, we need to have some downtime in our applications, right? So that is a problem in olden days, right? So recently, there is a concept called cloud computing. So instead of storing the data, instead of maintaining the data in our on-prem server, we are storing everything on the cloud. Okay, the cloud means some of the remote machines, remote server. The cloud provider will do all our services. Okay, as a company, as a user perspective, we are giving the data to some remote place. So we are not doing anything on it. Okay, initially I will tell you, okay, I want this much storage, I want this much RAM memory, or I want this much configurations, right? So I want this much virtual machines. Initially, I will give you our requirements. So based on that, they can prepare our remote server. Okay, that is called cloud computing. So in the cloud computing, there are a lot of providers are available. So Microsoft is one of the provider. So in Microsoft, we are calling us Azure Cloud Computing. So like this, we have a different cloud providers are available. We have a AWS, we have a Google GCP, Google Cloud Platform, right? So a lot of providers. So today we are going to talk about what is Azure and what are the different computing, different operation we can perform with the cloud computing. Okay, what is Azure? Azure is a set of cloud services. Okay, it is going to help the organizations to meet the business needs, business challenges. Okay, as I told you, right, the business challenge could be, so they want to host their organization application, right? So we need to host our database server or application server. So instead of hosting on local machines or local dedicated server, we are storing on the cloud machines. So for that, we are using the Azure platform. Okay, so it is going to give the freedom to build whatever we want to build, right? Suppose there is no restrictions for the storage. Okay, in future, if you want to new storage, we'll just request it, right? So I need some extra storage without just we need to pay and get it. It's very easy. We no need to buy anything of our own. So it means the maintenance cost will be very less. And also we can deploy all the massive kind of applications globally. Also we can maintain it. Suppose in olden days, if you want to maintain the global applications, we need to have a lot of network connectivity, right? So we need to have the network places. So we need to we need to make the network between multiple locations, right? So now those kind of network we should not bother about. Okay, the cloud provider will take care for it. Okay, so nowadays we have a global network connectivity for in the cloud. Next could be that a lot of tools are available, like Power BI is one kind of tool. Like this, we have a lot of other tools are available, like in the lot of framework, the predefined component are available in Azure, the cloud computing. We're just using in our business needs. Okay, if you use the Azure, what are the features we'll get it? So what are the benefits? Okay, first one is demand provisions. So based on our demands, we'll get it. Suppose, okay, simple example. Okay, I'm running some e-commerce application. Okay, so e-commerce applications, maybe during holiday time, I want to have the more network communications or network, more people will access our application, right? So it means only during the peak time, maybe the December and holiday period, I want to have the more storage or more network connectivity, right? So in that time, I can demand more. Okay, so later point of time, so once my season are completed, later point of time, I can release those resources. So I no need to pay for that. I no need to pay for the pay for those resources. So that is the demand provisions. Based on the demand, we'll request to the cloud provider. Okay, I'm going to have this much storage extra or this much configuration extra during some particular time frame. And we can easily do the scalability, as I told you. So we can increase our RAM and storage very seamlessly within a minute, within a seconds, within a minute we can do it without having any downtime of our applications. Okay, and if you have this on-prem server, so we need to bring down our applications, bring down our server, add the hardware devices, hardware component. Again, we need to upskill. We need to run the server, right? So for that, we have this some downtime in our applications. But in the cloud, there's no downtime. So we can easily do the scalability. Pay as we consume. So whatever we are consuming on it, whatever we're using, only those amount only we're paying for it. Only those services, only those services only we're paying. We're not paying any extra to the cloud provider. Okay, so that is the pay as we go. And then abstract resource, efficient, expert, measurable. We can easily measure our whatever things we are using, right? We can easily measure and plan our business. So these are some of the features in the Azure. Okay, next we'll talk about what are the different platforms are available in Azure. So what are the different things we can do it on the Azure? So for Azure, we can use it for the data center, we can have it for the database, we can have it for the application hostings. Lot of things we can do it under the Microsoft Azure. Like we can have the secure control, the key vault, and the network connectivity, and we can host our database to the cloud. Instead of having the on-prem SQL Server database, I can host it on the Azure platform. Okay, the storage and the executions, everything will happen it on the cloud machines. So just we need to get the services. Just we need to get our consume the service. That's it. Okay. Again, for data center, the cloud storage, computing, networking, and migration, right? Anything, storage. All those things will happen. We are doing the on-prem server. Instead of that, we can use this platform as a data center. Okay. So these are the different operations we can perform it on the Azure platform. Okay. Next is important one. So we are getting everything as a services in the cloud, right? So what is services? It's a user-friendly inputs, right? So I would say not inputs. It's a need. Whatever we need, we're getting as a service. So Azure providing for a lot of services. So we'll talk about compute service. So basically, I'm going to execute on the CPU kind of operations, right? Suppose you are running some ML applications. I'm running for deep learning applications. So I want to run it on the GPU based things, right? So in that case, I can go for compute service. Okay, how much RAM I wanted, how much storage, not storage, I would say, how much server configuration I wanted, right? So for that, those things we can do it on the compute service. Next one is a migration service. Like suppose we are running some container-based applications for Kubernetes, like container-based, right? So we'll have a lot of migration services are available in cloud to do migrate our application to the cloud, from one place into another place, one platform to another platform. So and then we have a security and compliance. Suppose I'm going to have the secured password. Okay, basically I'm going to have some HTTP connections or some secured key vault password storage, or I want to make it for all the security level services I want to do it. We can do it on the security and compliance services. Next one is the storage service. Storage service very much important. So how do you want to store the data? It's a file-based or database or NoSQL or unstructured data, like for different storage services, blob storage. So there are different storage services available. So based on our needs, based on organizations, we'll request the corresponding storage from the Azure. Okay, next is the database. So what is database? If you want to store the data in relational formats, some RDBMS tables, right? The tables, right? The rows and columns. So for that, we need to have the database level services. So we have a SQL database, we have a SQL managed database, like we have a MariaDB, like lot of MariaDB, like MySQL, right? A lot of SQL databases are available. So if you want to get the corresponding database, we have to request for the database level services. Okay, sorry. Next is the messaging service. Suppose I want to send some message, or I want to have some like for real-time messagings and streaming the data, I want to get it right. So for that, we need to have the messaging services. Networking. So as I told you, if you want to make for multiple network kind of things, right? So we have networking kind of services available. So, and then managing tools like frameworks. So the predefined like ML Studio, and then a lot of frameworks are available like Kubernetes machine learning framework, and then a lot of other frameworks are available to manage it. We need to have the management tools, right? So these are not only this, like this, we have a lot of different services available under Azure. So based on that, we'll go and request what kind of service I'm going to use it. Okay. Next, let's talk about what is the structured way of learning in Edureka. Okay. So as I told you, we have two courses, right? One is the Azure one we talk about. So now we're going to talk about the Power BI. Okay, let's talk about Power BI. What are the different roadmap about this program? So what are the different modules are available, and what are the concepts we are going to discuss in each and every modules? Okay, this Power BI consists of 10 different modules. Okay, so I would say 9 to 10. 10 is the in-class practice. Okay, so totally there are 9 different modules. Module 1, we're going to talk about introduction to Power BI. So what is Power BI? And how do we do the, okay, before that, right? So Power BI is the the visualization tools, right? It's an open source. It's a Microsoft product. Okay, we're going to talk about introduction to Power BI. So what are the different Power BI components, Power BI software available, and what are the different layout about each and every, how do we use the tools, right? So all those things we're discussing under introduction to Power BI. Followed by we have a hands-on, the corresponding case studies, and then in class practice, we have everything we're practicing on the hands-on. And then we are having the Power BI desktop tools. So how do we use the desktop, and how do we apply some of the transformation logics? How do we apply some of the business logics in the Power BI? In module 3, how do we apply the data analysis expressions that we are calling as DAC is the concepts, like how do we apply the business logics? How do we apply the user-defined logics in the expressions by using data analysis DAC tools? In module 4, we are going to talk about what are the different data visualizations are available, like what are the different charts, what are the different graphical charts we can able to create it by using Power BI. In module 5, we're going to talk about what are the different Power BI services are available. What is the quick insights about each and every services? And what are the different connectivity modes in Power BI? There are 2 modes. One is a live mode, one is the extract mode. And how do we use the live data, and how do we get the data from the extract modes? Those 2 different connectivity modes we're going to talk about. Module 7 mainly for how do we publish the reports to the server, Power BI report servers. Like we are developing on the Power BI desktop tool, right? The desktop tool is only local to the users, right? But how do we publish it to the other users, to the server, Power BI server? Okay. Module 8, like how do we integrate a Power BI? How do we integrate R and Python program into the Power BI? Okay, so how do we integrate R and Python program into the Power BI? Like suppose we're writing some logic on the Python machine learnings, like how do we integrate ML models into the Power BI visualization tools. Module 9. Okay, module 9 is mainly for analysis, like what is analytical tools. Okay, how do we perform the different analytical in Power BI? Some of the advanced concept. Okay, once we complete for all the 9 different modules, we have a in-class projects. Okay, the capstone projects. So these are the complete roadmap about Power BI certification course. Let's quickly go to the Power BI, like what is Power BI and what is, okay, as of now, what we discussed, right? We talk about the Azure cloud, right? The cloud environment. So now we're going to talk about the Power BI. So Power BI is a BI tools. Okay, it's a business intelligent tools hosted on the cloud machines, cloud services. It's maintained by Microsoft corporations. It's a Microsoft tools, right? MS tools, Microsoft tools. It's entirely free of cost. We don't need to pay any licensing cost or anything for this Power BI. It's a free. It's available under Microsoft stores. So this Power BI is mainly for non-technical people. Suppose if you're a business user, if you are a data analyst, if you have a business analyst, right? So if you want to perform some of the aggregate level data, okay, I want to see the data from summary level, or I want to perform some of the data analysis, or I want to visualize some of the data in the graphical formats, or I want to share the data to the different peoples for different servers, different place, right? So for that, the Power BI is very well suited for non-technical users, business user. Okay, so these are the things we can do it on the Power BI. Okay, next we'll talk about Azure in ML. So how do we use this Azure in machine learning, right? So where we have a lot of services are available in Azure, like we can integrate it. So basically, if you want to apply some filter or if you want to apply some selective filter independently, we can do it under Azure platform. Okay, I'll just quickly walk you through the Azure portal. Okay, so this is my cloud platform, like portal, Azure portals, right? So as I told you, we have a different services available. So if you go and check, right? So we have a SQL database, CosmoDB for NoSQL database, right? And storage account like Azure Active Directory for this security things, right? And then monitor, cost management. So there are different services are available. So basically, before going to create a service, right? So we need to have the free account. So basically, this is a 1 month free account. We can able to create it. So like this, first of all, you have to go have the subscriptions. So the subscription means same as like what kind of subscription currently we're having. And as of now, I don't have any subscriptions. I'm going to create it. Like this is for the 12 months or subscription free. After that, we have to go and purchase it. Either pay as you go, let it come. So that's the first one is a free trial. Like after that, we have to go pay as you go, right? As I told you, pay as you go means like depending on whatever we are using, right? We are paying for it. That's it. Okay, we are not once your application once you are done with the work, we can stop the services, right? So it means we're not paying for anything to the. It's not going to consume the cost. Okay, and then for the student also we have the 12 months free thing. We can use it. So first of all, you have to go to get a subscription. So once a subscription is created, we have to go and have the resource group, monitor a lot of things, right? So for different category wise, we talk about, right? We have a storage, we have a networking, we have a what is called a database, right? So like this, we have machine learning also, we have a summer services. Suppose if you want to have the face API, face detection, computer visions, and then like for cognitive search, right? Like this for analytical, for Azure Databricks. So for that, everything for analytical kind of things, there are a lot of things, right? Power BI integrations. So we talk about Power BI integration, right? So for that, we have a separate analytical service. Okay. So we have a compute service. So compute service we talk about initially, right? So how do you want to execute it? Okay. How do we host we want it? And what is the availability? Which zone you want to store it? What is the disk storage? And virtual machines, virtual storage, like any image app services. So there are compute services, and then we have a container, we have a database level services, we have a DevOps kind of thing services. Everything we are having services on the cloud one. So that is pretty much about our overview. So I'm not giving any complete picture, right? So just in giving an overview. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining this webinar program. Thank you.